Hey, what's up everyone? This is RJ Game News USA here, back today with another video. And today I want to go over the review scores for The Outer Worlds 2. We're going to look at the Xbox Series X critic reviews. It's got an 83 overall on Metacritic, with 47 positive, 3 mixed, and 1 negative. And we're going to go over several of these today. So if you like this kind of content, please consider liking the video and hitting the subscribe button. Let's jump right into it. So, the top score was a 90. So we got no perfects, nothing like that. No 95s. A 90 from GameLiner, saying The Outer Worlds 2 expands on everything that made the original great. Sharp writing, satisfying combat, and real player choice. Despite a clunky UI and some rough edges, this witty space RPG delivers a rich, reactive world that's truly yours to shape. So a few things here. First of all, we know The Outer Worlds is essentially sort of Fallout Light. And I do think Xbox made a huge mistake, like they have most of the year, wanting to make this the first game that was priced at $80. Now, they walked that back. However, damage was done to pre-orders, I'm sure. And I'm sure the sales definitely took a hit. But that being said, did we get a solid entry here? Well, according to GameLiner, we did. And we do have several 90s. Noisy Pixel says The Outer Worlds 2 is a confident and evolved sequel that deepens Obsidian's signature blend of player agency, narrative impact, and dark satire. Set in a galaxy divided by ideology and shaped by choice, it refines nearly every system from its predecessor while introducing new mechanics. Tierra Gamer with a 90 said The Outer Worlds 2 does not significantly alter its combat or exploration, yet it greatly expands the RPG aspects of the experience, offering a title filled with multiple paths to choose from, impactful decisions that shape the narrative, and extensive freedom of choice. So I played the first Outer Worlds. It really did not impress me all that much. I definitely prefer Fallout. I think most people do that like Outer Worlds probably like Fallout more. That being said, I'm not even much of a Fallout guy. I'm not saying the games are bad. I'm just saying they're not my top games. Windows Central with a 90 says The Outer Worlds 2 doesn't reinvent the wheel, but delivers a more refined version of the formula that worked. Better exploration and combat buoy a tight role-play experience that feels crunchy and isn't afraid of cutting off branches depending on player skills. Interesting. Game Rant, also with a 90, saying, while the occasional technical hiccup is disappointing and the lack of New Game Plus mode is a bummer, The Outer Worlds 2 still provides an excellent action RPG experience that will greatly appeal to Fallout fans and those who enjoyed the original game. Yeah, most of the 90s sound about the same. Mostly of not really saying anything too critical about it. How about an 88 from MMORPG.com? Saying, despite some technical difficulties that required a workaround, I couldn't put The Outer Worlds 2 down. The expansive worlds and near infinite choice options and storytelling that is arguably some of the best in the business. Interesting. That's some high praise while also admitting there are technical difficulties. How about an 87 from Gamers RD, saying The Outer Worlds 2 returns with a far more ambitious vision, refining many of the aspects that felt unfinished in the first game, including a revamped combat system, improved companion management, and other key mechanics. It's classic Obsidian. My bad. Games.ch with an 86 said, it's clear that Obsidian thoroughly considered community feedback during development. The result is a motivating sci-fi adventure that takes the core strength of its predecessor and improves on it in almost every respect. So it does sound like the general consensus so far seems to be it's better than the first game. That it doesn't really do much different, but it's just the same game but better. And we got an 85 from Atomics, saying, while its shooting system is traditional, The Outer Worlds 2 shines when it comes to customization and role-playing. Obsidian has created an adventure that feels alive, adapting to your style in real time. That's interesting. IGN gave it an 80, saying, once you get past a weak first act, The Outer Worlds 2 sharpens Obsidian's RPG formula with smarter writing and better combat. So that's interesting, because the problem is with a bad first act or a subpar first act, some people are going to put it down. Especially if you're a Game Pass subscriber and you don't have too much of an investment on this game. If it's not grabbing you in that first act, I could see a lot of people putting it down. That could be an issue. IGN's not the only one that gave it an 80. There were several 80s here. We don't have time to go over them all today. However, we have a 75 from MGG, saying The Outer Worlds 2 retains the strengths of the first title with rich dialogue and storytelling, while surpassing it at almost every technical level. The dialogue and choices available remain the main strengths of the sequel. Yeah, see, I like story choice games, for sure. I like, stuff like the Walking Dead series, The Wolf Among Us, the Telltale stuff, really. And then I like RPGs as well. Like serious, honest-to-goodness RPGs. And they don't necessarily have to have the greatest story, like Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door. But still have some charm to it, So let's see. We're going into the mixed category now. We have Final Weapon with a 70, saying The Outer Worlds 2 is a fantastic modern RPG. The emphasis on player choice and customization, the great dialogue and characters, exceptional world building, and fun gameplay mechanics make it one of Obsidian's best games in years. So there's a few things. We definitely do see universal praise of the world building, of the dialogue choices, of the options and customization, and that's all great. And we do see some universal negatives when it comes to technical performance. Still having issues with technical performance. Why is this? They need to shore that up a little better. I have a feeling Xbox might cut the studio. What do you guys think? Eurogamer Portugal with a 60, saying The Outer Worlds 2 tires to be a great space RPG, but falls by the wayside. It has good ideas, lots of freedom and fun moments, but the story is confusing, and the world feels empty. It's a game full of potential, which it never literally lives up to. Now that's interesting, because there's some contradictions with the Eurogamer Portugal review versus some of the other reviews, where they love the world building, where they love the story. This particular reviewer seems confused by the story, and they do seem like the outlier. They do seem like the minority opinion here. And finally, we have the one negative review, which I think is pretty harsh, honestly. A 40 from Slant Magazine, saying there are scattered elements that veer the story away from having to bootlick for progress, but they're few and far between. Wow, what kind of agenda does Slant Magazine have against Obsidian? That's downright borderline an unprofessional review, if you ask me. Because you could clearly tell, I am nothing but extremely professional. Now that being said, guys, I need to know in the comments below, are you picking up The Outer Worlds 2? If so, why? If not, let's talk about it. Anyway, thank you for tuning into the video. I appreciate you all very much, and I'll see you soon. RJ signing out. Have a good one.